Hello everyone, today we're going to talk about 5 free tools for AdTech professionals that we believe are quite useful. We're going to talk about Sincera, Seller's Guide, Scope 3, Lighthouse, and then Professor Prebid. Sincera provides you with a lot of public data about websites and their use of AdTech. You need to go to app.sincera.io. And below it, when you log in, you have access to multiple data points. The one that's really interesting is the adoption level of every identification system within the publishers. There's a lot of data, but I believe Sincera have analyzed about 300,000 websites across the world. And if you watch at the identification system, the first one is ID5 with 86,000 of them. That's a bit less than a third of publishers using ID5, for example. And then you see the long tail of other identification system, which might be interesting. If you go down, you have other interesting data, like the Prebid version that is usually used by publishers across the world. You can see the content provider that are used by the publishers, the top header bidding providers that are used by the publishers, and so on and so forth. It's not something that you can use as is in your daily tasks, but it's a very interesting overview of what is actually used in the AdTech ecosystem so you can make better choices or maybe discover new solutions. If you get a premium core login through Sincera, which I don't have, you can watch at any website in the world and precisely see what's going on this website in terms of wrapper, identification system in use, CMP, and so on and so forth. All right, the second one that I use a lot is called Seller's Guide, and this one is actually interesting. So you can type any domain in the world, and instead of having the ads.txt file, which is somehow hard to comprehend at a first glance, it gives you a very intuitive overview of what's going on within a website. Although to be fair, I'm going to take one of the leading websites in the US, CNN.com. So this is the analysis from Sellers.guide on CNN.com. CNN, that's not amazing. So CNN has a 2.2 score over 10. What does that mean? Well, Sellers.guide tells you everything you need to change in order to raise the score. In this example, you have owner domain that are listed as reseller. So that's an SSP that CNN owns, but that is listed as a reseller within their files. You have the same exact seller ID listed in direct and in reseller, which you want to optimize as well. You have a list of resellers that are listed as direct within the CNN website. CNN has actually more than 500 ads.txt line, which is quite a lot. And this is important for publishers because more and more sustainability tools are using those analytics to assess whether a website is using a lot of AdTech partner and is potentially carbon heavy, or is using few AdTech partners, and in this case, Scope 3 might say, this publisher might not consume so much energy, which leads me to Scope 3. Scope 3 is quite known for analyzing carbon emissions for enterprises. What is less known is that on the homepage of Scope 3, you have a research bar where you can watch any website in the world in terms of AdTech connections. So again, if I look at CNN.com, I can see here by scrolling the emissions that are provided by Scope 3 and the breakdown by partner. So this is something that I use quite a lot in meetings because you can see a very intuitive chart of all the AdTech connections within a given website. So again, CNN is just here taken as an example. You have the expand button in here. And so if you expand, you can see actually all the AdTech partners plugged into a given website. I will collapse this and show you maybe a quick example. So for example, if a buyer is using the Trade Desk and is buying through this Magnite seat, it's like TTD is buying Magnite, which is buying share through, which is buying through LG, and buying through the Prebid system of CNN.com. So it gives you a clear overview of how dense is an AdTech ecosystem within a publisher, which is quite useful for buyers and for publishers as well. All right, the next one is Lighthouse. And Lighthouse is used mostly by publishers, but can be also useful for buyers. Lighthouse gives for any given website, I'm taking here the New York Times as a reference point, its speed and the weight of every element so that you can watch whether the website is really efficient or could be optimized. So it's an extension in Chrome, and if I click on here, I can generate report, and there I can see a lot of data about what is taking time to load within the website and how can I further optimize. Here you can see that the New York Times is quite efficient. Most of the metrics are within the green aspect, which should be good. If I wait, I have other data that's coming out, but you can see the interest here for publishers so that they can see what's to be optimized in terms of latency within your website. And the last tool is also a Chrome extension, which is called Professor Prebid. And when you launch it, like let's say I launched the CNN website, here you can see all the calls that are being made on the website. So this is specifically analyzing Prebid. And so you can see the different ad units, the media types, the formats that are called, the different bidders that are called. And for every given bidder, I can see the bid request here in more detail. I can also see the level of bid from every partner to see how the auction mechanics is working within a given website. If you need something that's complementary, you can also use Header Bid Expert. It's very simple. You can see just the partners and the timeout that those have made. But if you go to Page Analytics, you have a very interesting timeline of every bidder that is bidding on this website. And every time I do a refresh, I can look at the stat again and see how it goes. Let's see in Professor Prebid, I can see also the configuration of every placement. I mean, this is quite technical, but it's really useful whenever you want to have an idea of what's the Prebid configuration of a given publisher. All right, so as a recap, you can see interesting market data through Sincera.app. You can see the ads.txt files on the analysis through sellers.guide. Through Scope 3, you can see the full picture of AdTech partners plugged within a given website. You can also see the latency and the different scores of a website through Lighthouse. And finally, if you want to deep dive into the Prebid configuration of a publisher, you can download the Chrome extension that's called Professor Prebid, which I strongly recommend. I hope it was useful. I'll see you in the next one.